Big L was treacherous. He was treacherous on the mic.
He scared me to death. I was scared to death.
Yeah.
I said, yo, it's no way I could compete. If this is what I gotta compete with, I said, there's no way.
Bro, Big L, the animal, bro. It pisses me off how people don't really give him that recognition like that. I feel like if he was alive, we probably wouldn't have a Jay-Z.
Harlem, 1999. The clatter of dice echoes against tenement walls as crumpled dollar bills change hands beneath a flickering streetlight. A young hustler steps away from the circle, heart pounding. He's one big and jealous eyes were now on him. In the distance, police sirens wail, but it's too late. Gunshots crack the cold night air.
I got weak in front of my rear. Now I can hear the sirens. It's too late. I'm knocking on the pearly gate.
Lamont Big L Coleman rapped, eerily foreshadowing this very scene. In his song, Casualties of a Dice Game, the Harlem rapper spun a gritty tale of a street gamble gone wrong that ends with his own demise, a tale that would turn tragically prophetic in real life. Lamont Coleman was born May 30th, 1974. He was the youngest of three brothers that grew up on West 139th Street and Lenox Avenue, a block he famously dubbed the Danger Zone. Harlem in the late 70s and 80s was a world of vibrant street life and lurking peril. Neighbors leaned out of stoop windows to gossip, music boomed from block parties, and kids played under the watchful eyes of elders. Big L's mother, Gilda Pinky Terry, was a well-known figure on the block, a former number runner who put food on the table by hustling, yet also the matriarch who organized giant block parties every summer for the neighborhood kids. The Coleman family's two-bedroom apartment was modest but lively. We had bunk beds and Lamont's bed had the pull-out joint. We had a new living room set every year. We had the name chains when we were like 10, Donald remembered, noting how his mother's hustles meant the boys never went without. From early on, Lamont idolized his older brother Leroy Big Lee Finizzi. Big Lee was a street legend in his own right. One family friend described Lee as the most notable scary guy amongst groups of scary guys. Essentially, the neighborhood enforcer. Everyone in the neighborhood feared and respected Big Lee, and young Lamont always looked up to him. This family dynamic meant Lamont grew up under the protection and shadow of a bona fide Harlem street figure. The streets of Harlem were unforgiving in that era. Violence was a fact of life. New York City hit record homicide levels in the early 90s, and 139th Street was no exception. Lamont absorbed it all, the good and the bad, developing a dark sense of humor and a sharp eye. He was always a fan of horror movies and into real morbid shit, a childhood friend remembered, recalling how young Lamont would laugh at things others found gruesome. These influences would later seep into his rhymes. Despite, or perhaps because of, the harsh environment, Lamont found his calling in music. His talent caught fire early, most famously in 1990, when a 16-year-old Big L stunned Lord Finesse with an impromptu freestyle on 125th Street, earning a spot in the legendary DITC crew as its lone Harlem member. By 18, he had signed with Columbia Records, releasing the album Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous in 1995 to critical acclaim. But label politics stalled his mainstream rise, pushing L to go independent and launch Flamboyant Entertainment, where his 1998 breakout single, Ebonics, reignited industry buzz and put him on the brink of signing with Rockefeller Records in early 1999. Just 24, and preparing his second album, The Big Picture, Big L seemed poised for a major breakthrough, crafting vivid street narratives like Casualties of a Dice Game, tragically unaware that real life would soon mirror the fatal imagery of his own storytelling. On the night of February 15, 1999, just a week after his Rockefeller plans were set in motion, Big L was back in his old neighborhood. That evening, he stepped out into the chilly Harlem night. The winter air was crisp, the streets unusually quiet. Lamont moved with the easy familiarity of someone who felt at home on these blocks, but also with the wariness that any Harlem native carried in those days. The 24-year-old rap star was only 3 blocks from the house where he grew up, in the very heart of the danger zone he described in song. At approximately 8:30 p.m., as Big L passed 45 West 139th Street, a car crept down the block and gunfire erupted without warning. Panicked residents later told police they heard a rapid succession of shots. Lamont was struck repeatedly, bullets ripping into his head and chest. The driver of the car sped off into the night, leaving Big L bleeding on the cold pavement. Neighbors rushed to his side and called for help. The streetlights cast an eerie glow on the scene as blood pooled on the concrete, where moments earlier he had been walking. Within minutes, the wail of sirens cut through the Harlem night, and red police lights flashed against the brick facades of Lenox Avenue. First responders found Lamont Coleman collapsed in front of 104 West, 139th Street. Big L was pronounced dead at the scene at the age of 24. Harlem reeled with grief. Within a day, a memorial sprung up at the spot. Posters of Big L and scrawled RIP messages covered a wall, while flowers and candles piled on the sidewalk where he fell. Crowds gathered to pay respects. The outpouring of love revealed a side of Lamont beyond the gritty lyrics. The NYPD launched an investigation, but at first they were stumped. "We have no suspects, no motives," one detective told the press, adding that by all accounts everything points to him being a good kid. Big L had no active beefs that police knew of. This wasn't the East Coast-West Coast rap feud that had claimed Biggie and Tupac. It felt more personal. Indeed, as days passed, whispers on the street pointed to a dark, complicated motive. Harlem's rumor mill suggested Big L's murder wasn't about Lamont Coleman at all, but payback meant for someone else in his family. Almost immediately, one name surfaced in connection with the killing: Gerard Woodley. In a twist worthy of a crime novel, Woodley was not only a Harlem street figure, he was a childhood friend of Lamont's and had been tight with the Coleman family for years. Old photos even show Woodley on the back cover of Big L's first album. Why would a friend kill Big L? The answer lay with Big Lee. Big Lee, by 1999, was locked up serving a prison sentence for armed robbery, unable to watch his little brother's rapid ascent firsthand, but his presence was still felt in Harlem. Big Lee led a crew on 139th Street known as the NFL Crew, a clique neck-deep in the street economy of hustling and gambling. To the younger Lamont, Big Lee was both a protector and a cautionary tale. Back in the neighborhood, old grudges and unfinished business were festering. Big L's success didn't insulate him from the realities of 139th Street. If anything, his ties to Big Lee put him closer to the fire. Lamont stayed loyal to his family, staying in touch with Lee and looking out for his brother's interests on the outside. It was a dangerous position to be in. As one Harlem insider later put it, "When you're involved with the streets on that level, they go for what's in your heart." In Big Lee's case, what he loved most was his kid brother Lamont, and everyone on the block knew it. Woodley and Leroy Big Lee Finizzi had a long, tangled history in the streets. According to police, Woodley believed Big Lee had put out a hit on him. Street gossip painted a dramatic picture of betrayal and revenge. Years later, Harlem rapper Cam'ron, who grew up with both Big L and Woodley, revealed a stunning allegation. Grew up with Big L and the dude who supposedly killed him. A week before that, though, Big L tried to kill him. Cam'ron rapped in a verse. In other words, Big L may have been involved in an attempt on Woodley's life first. Some accounts say that while Big Lee was imprisoned, he contracted a hitman to take out Woodley and two others from their old crew. Lamont, the loyal kid brother, allegedly helped identify the targets for this would-be hit. The hit failed. Woodley got spooked when he spotted unfamiliar faces trailing him and managed to scare them off. If these claims are true, Big L signed his own death warrant in doing so. Believing his old friend had set him up, Woodley, or those close to him, allegedly sought immediate vengeance. Lamont was killed as retaliation for Big Lee's war, a casualty of a game far more dangerous than dice. In May 1999, 3 months after Big L's murder, police finally arrested Gerard Woodley and charged him with the crime. Detectives publicly confirmed the revenge theory, calling the slaying an act of revenge against the rapper's brother, Big Lee. At last, it seemed Lamont's killer might face justice, but the case fell apart almost as quickly as it came together. The evidence was thin, no weapon was recovered, witnesses were scarce, and Woodley was never indicted. Despite being charged with second-degree murder, He walked free when the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. Big L's murder officially became a cold case, and for years it haunted Harlem with unanswered questions. The violence didn't end there. In a cruel twist, Big Lee himself didn't live long after his little brother. He was released from prison a couple of years later, but never got the closure he sought. In 2002, roughly 3 years after Big L's death, Leroy Big Lee Finizzi was gunned down in Harlem, reportedly just 2 blocks away from where L had been killed. And still, the cycle continued. For over a decade, Gerard Woodley, the man long suspected of pulling the trigger on Big L, remained a free man in Harlem, though never free from suspicion. Some in the neighborhood murmured that karma was coming for him. They were right. June 23, 2016, 46-year-old Gerard Woodley was standing in front of 106 West 139th Street, just a stone's throw from Big L's old stoop, when unknown assailants opened fire. Woodley was shot in the head and back, killed instantly in front of his own building. In a chilling bit of symmetry, he died practically on the same block where Big L was killed years before. To many in Harlem, his death felt like street justice, an eye for an eye on 139th Street.